You are not average. And I'm going to tell you a story to hopefully prove that idea to you. So, like some of you guys, my whole life, I've always struggled with this idea of being average. There were so many things that I was pretty good at, you know? But that is always just where it ended. Like, with just being pretty good, with just being decent, I'd get good grades, like mostly A minuses, B pluses. I started in sports that I played, but as I got older, I was never really the star. And I felt like I enjoyed my hobbies and were, again, decent at them, like making art or making music, but I always ended up with the same struggle of simply feeling average. Like, I never felt gifted or talented at anything that I tried to do. And I don't know why it took me 25 years to learn this, but I'm just going to be as blunt and straight to the point as possible. Talent does not exist. You are not born gifted at anything in this life, and you will remain average at just about everything that you touch until you make the conscious decision that you don't want to be average anymore. And that is just the truth. Think about what being average truly means. Like, what does the word average mean, right? Being average means being in the middle of the pack. It means you are just enough, but not too much. It means that you work hard, just like the rest of us, but you end up somewhere in the middle. Because that's simply just where most of us end up. Like, it's a very comfortable spot to be in, and I get that. When you're average, you aren't looked at as being a failure, which is great, but all eyes are not on you by standing out from the crowd either. You're just blending in. It's the easiest formula to just fly under the radar for the rest of your life. Just be average. A few years ago, I decided that I was over this feeling. I wanted to challenge myself. I was over just being someone that was not good at things. So I finally made that conscious decision that I wanted to be great. I wanted to find something to be great at. And I did. One of my biggest hobbies growing up, and something that I did a lot, especially late high school, early college, was make music. I studied music a lot, but I wasn't ever really great at it because I didn't take it seriously. I was stuck at like 1K monthly listeners, like songs would struggle to get 10,000 streams sometimes. Again, I was just stuck feeling average. I made lo-fi hip-hop, I made rap songs, I tried to learn how to sing, I tried to make remixes, flips, like you name it, I probably tried it. But it wasn't until January 1st, 2019, that I, for the first time in my life, made a real New Year's resolution. And that resolution was that I was going to watch a YouTube tutorial on how to make music every single day for an entire year. I wanted to make it challenging but simplistic, so there were no rules on how long the videos had to be, no rules on how many videos I had to watch each day. It was just plain and simple. Like I said, I will watch a tutorial every single day. Of course, there were days where I was busy, like out of my mind with school or work, or even days where I was just sick to my stomach, but I found a way to make it happen. I had this playlist, I remember, of videos that were less than 5 minutes long, like tutorials that were really, really short, because again, it didn't matter to me how long the videos were. My resolution was to just watch a video every single day. So on those days where I wanted nothing to do with this challenge at all, I still forced myself to watch just one of those 5-minute videos, because no matter how tough of a day it was, there was never any excuse that I could make that would signify why I couldn't watch a 5-minute video. Slowly started to develop my mind where after a 5-minute video, I'd say to myself, like, you really only did one 5-minute long video today, so I'd watch longer ones. I'd start saving 10-minute long videos. Some days I felt like crazy motivated and I'd watch tutorials for hours. There were even weeks at a time, I remember, where I wouldn't even open up my production software. I wouldn't make music at all. I was just full on dedicated to learning, studying, and just working my ass off. And then who would have guessed that a full year later, I looked back at all the work that I put into learning, I reflected about how I felt, how I improved, and for once in my life, I felt like I was finally great. I knew the software in and out. I could have like these deep and intensive conversations with other musicians about the programs, about plugins that I liked, about their styles, their marketing ideas. I put in the work, and I finally felt confident in saying I was no longer average. I found something that I felt truly good at. And let me make this very clear, because music is one of the most subjective things in the world, okay? So I'm not here to defend the fact that I make good music. I think just about every song that I've ever made is so trash or corny or cringe, and if you make creative stuff, then maybe you understand this feeling as well. But I will defend the fact that I am good at making music, like the physical process of it. Do you hear the difference? I don't make great music, but I'm great at making music. Those two things are very different, alright? So, like, here, I cannot believe I'm showing people this, but take a listen to something awful that I made in 2018. This was the first vocal track that I ever tried to, put my voice on. Jesus Christ. Yeah, here we go. I mean, so obviously singing wasn't for me. After this, I tried to make flips and remixes of songs because that felt like really interesting to me. And I really started to get better at just physically making beats. So after this point, I was well into college and I felt confident enough to start selling my beats and even charging to mix other people's vocals, which I ended up doing for actually quite some time. Like, I bought good recording equipment. I would invite local artists, rappers, musicians, whatever it might be, into my little home studio. I'd record them, I'd mix their vocals, and I'd get paid for it. But the only problem was that to get to this point, to practice, I actually had to make more songs of my own. Like, I had to practice with my own voice, because what else was I supposed to practice on? So that meant more singing. So here we go again. Yeah, so anyway, I'm not here to deny that geniuses exist, and I understand that being born into a body that will eventually be like, I don't know, 7'1" is probably pretty good if you want to be a professional basketball player. Like, things like this can happen, but for everyday people, for average people like you and I, if you want to get great, you need to work as hard as great people do. You need to set goals, and you need to accomplish them. At the end of the month, I would always reflect. I would always reflect on how many streams I got, what worked, what didn't, what genres people liked, what genres I was good at making, what I liked to make, what other people were doing that worked. Like, my brain was never turned off. I was always thinking about this. It'd be the first thing I'd think of in bed, it'd be what I think about when I shower. I'd zone out in class and just think about this constantly. I was just obsessed with the idea of I can actually learn if I really put my mind to this, The goal of mine was not to be famous. I am very reclusive. I really value my privacy, and I am very, very much so a homebody and like an individual person. So I didn't ever want to be famous, and I never really made the goal of making money off of the songs either. The goal really, from the start, was just to improve. The goal was to prove to myself that becoming great in something that you love is possible. All I wanted to do was just to make myself proud. That's what I wanted. My family told me that my stuff was great. My friends even, I remember they threw me a party when my Spotify page hit 50,000 monthly listeners, because they knew that this was my life. This was my obsession. This is what I cared about. And they even had songs that hit 1 million streams on Spotify, but nothing felt better than that moment at the end of the year watching my last tutorial, knowing that it's just one video away from watching a video every single day for a year. Knowing that I accomplished a truly difficult goal that I set up for myself. I made my friends proud, I made my family proud, but there is no better feeling in the world than making yourself proud, and it's incredibly difficult to do. Looking back and saying, I did that shit, that was me. Listening to a song that I made, saying, I made that. It's a feeling that I can't describe in words, but the best word that I can think of is probably the word pride. I, for once in my life, had pride. I felt prideful of my work, all because I set a goal and I didn't stop until I accomplished it. Now, fast forward a few years, and sadly, I don't really make much music anymore. I got a job in the music industry, and that has taken up a lot of my time and creative energy, but that doesn't tarnish the fact at all that I still feel technically talented in opening up a music production program or software or whatever and being able to make something that I'm still proud of. My goals have changed, my life has changed, I've gotten older, things are different, right? But that's okay, because I proved to myself that being great is possible. Something else I do in my free time a lot is play a video game called League of Legends, and if you've watched some of my other videos, I bring this up a lot, so some of you might be annoyed by this point, but I have peaked Masters 200 LP as a rank in that game, and if you don't know anything about League of Legends, that is a crazy rank. Like, this is a game with 130 million monthly players, maybe. It's maybe the biggest game in the world. And I am ranked in around like the top 0.5% of that. I wasn't gifted at the game, I simply wanted to improve and get better, so I did, because I was very passionate about it. I practiced, I set quotas for myself, like how many games to play before bed. I even joined a semi-professional team to play against other like crazy good players in tournaments to try and make some money off of it. I got coaching from some of the most talented players in North America, and I even coached a middle school esports team of just like these 5 Hawaiian kids. I just taught them how to play, and I mean, I can make a whole video about that because that experience was so fun, but I was so serious about my shit. And if there is one thing that I've taught myself over the years, it's that if I want something and if I have a goal that I truly want, I stop at nothing until that goal is achieved. Sure, there are things sometimes that I want that maybe I quit halfway through, but whenever that happens, it's really only because I understand, like, maybe this isn't something that I actually want. It's less quitting and more just me understanding that you know, I've maybe changed my outlook on a topic or an idea or whatever it might be. I don't know. I just wanted to mention that, but I will always stop at nothing until that goal is achieved. And if I really want it, I won't quit. I hold myself accountable because at the end of the day, I am my own biggest fan. I'm my own biggest hater. I'm my own biggest critic. I'm my biggest problem, but I'm also my biggest solution. Does all of this make sense? So sure, maybe today you are average, but as long as you take one step in the right direction every single day, before you know it, you will also be great. And the only regret about the whole process that you'll ever have, I promise you this, the only regret that you'll ever have is, why didn't I just start this sooner? I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Making videos is like a new kind of recent passion of mine that I'm just so obsessed with. Like, I love to edit, I love to record, I love to talk. So if this is something that interests you guys, drop a comment, leave a like, drop a sub. If you want to hear me talk about something, feel free to just mention it or reply to it on in the comments, or you can message me on Instagram. I'll normally try to respond to everybody, but again, thank you so much for everything, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.